What is good, YouTube? It's the Babbling Bros. I'm Dan.
I'm Taylor.
And today we are discussing the best topic known to man. The Mets got Francisco Lindor and Carlos Carrasco, but mostly Francisco Lindor. So let's just get into it and discuss it.
So let's start off first. Obviously, you're a Mets fan.
Yes.
How do you feel about the trade?
I love the trade. Well, when I first saw it, I woke up to a bunch of texts, and they were like, my friends were like, Francisco Lindor to the Mets. And my first thought was, oh my God, who did they get rid of? Who did they get rid of? Because Francisco Lindor is the best shortstop in baseball. The best shortstop in baseball. So I was like, they had to have gotten rid of like Noah Syndergaard or Steven Matz and a bunch of draft picks and a bunch of prospects and maybe Brandon Nimmo and Rosario. So I was like, oh my God, what is going on? But I looked, and they didn't give up that much, and I am so hyped. So basically, the trade was Francisco Lindor, Carlos Carrasco for Ahmed Rosario, Andres Jimenez, and two prospects, and the prospects were Josh Wolf and Isaiah Green. So Francisco Lindor is the best shortstop in baseball. Let's just put it that way. I don't know who's number 2 or number 3, but he is the best. He played for the Indians for a long time. He's a constant all-star.
I definitely agree. He is probably the best shortstop in baseball. Me, I'm not a Mets fan. Obviously, I'm a Yankees fan. Looking at it from an outsider's perspective, it makes me wonder, was it worth it? And the reason I say that is Lindor's on the last year of his contract.
Mm-hmm.
So he's going into the 2021 season with the Mets now on the last year of his contract.
Yeah.
So they just gave up 4 players, 2 of which were prospects, Josh Wolf and Isaiah Green.
You could almost consider Andres Jimenez a prospect.
Yeah.
He only played one season. Well, not even a full season. He played 3/4 of the season.
Yeah.
And he's 22 years old.
You don't know what these guys are going to be. And who knows if Lindor resigns.
Okay, well, the way I look at it is the Mets are building for now. They're going to win. They're building to win this year. So Francisco Lindor, it just bolsters their lineup completely. First of all, I was upset to see Rosario go, but Rosario was our number 1 prospect for so many years, and when he came up to the big leagues, he was supposed to be the next Jose Reyes, the next Derek Jeter. He's a solid player, but it never panned out. Rosario's, I think, as of this year, has hit his ceiling. He had a great year for the Mets, which is why his trade value just skyrocketed, and the deal went through. The Indians accepted the deal for Rosario. So I wasn't that upset about Rosario. I was more upset about Jimenez, because Jimenez is a 22-year-old. He had probably the best glove on the team on the Mets last year, and his batting was not bad. He hit 263, which is pretty solid for a 21-year-old infielder. Yeah,
he hit 263, 12 RBIs, 3 home runs, and that was for I want to say 40-something games.
Yeah.
Those are not bad numbers for a rookie. You have a rookie coming into the MLB, and now you give him up. Now you don't get to see what he becomes. And now you have Lindor, who you know what he is. He's not going to change. He's a 2-time Gold Glove winner, I think. Yeah, 2-time Gold Glove winner. His career average is 285, averages 29 home runs a year, 86 RBIs a year, and 21 steals a year.
You know what you're going to get with him.
You know what you're getting. But, one, you're paying him a lot more than this year alone than you're paying Jimenez.
Mm-hmm. I think he's like $19 million.
Yeah, some crazy number like that. 2, you don't know if you're getting him back. It's not a guaranteed thing. Yeah, they're going to try to sign him to a long-term deal, but who knows? And on top of that, who knows how much it's going to cost? It's going to cost a lot, and the Mets are already paying a lot of money. They made 2 big signings in the offseason with
James McCann.
And, yeah. Who's the other one?
And there was someone else. Can't think of it right now. I'm sure we'll think of it later.
Yeah.
But listen, the way I think about it, though, is the Mets are going to win for now. You need Francisco Lindor in that lineup. And most people who come to the Mets enjoy the Mets organization. The Mets organization is on the rise. Steve Cohen has made it clear that he wants to spend money. Mets fans, including myself, are really excited that he is the new owner. And he's going to spend as much as he can to see the Mets win. He's a Mets fan. He grew up watching the Mets. And that's what we need for our ownership. I love the trade personally. We didn't give up that much. Jimenez, I'm sad to see go because I thought he could be a very valuable piece for the Mets going forward. But you cannot pass up on Lindor Plus, you got Carlos Carrasco, who is a consistent number 2. He was behind Shane Bieber in Cleveland, but he's a consistent number 2 starter. You know what you're going to get from him as well.
Absolutely.
Potential all-star again. He's 33 years old, a little bit up in the age, but doesn't matter. He's a great addition.
The other issue, or not really issue, but thought that I have is, like you said, they're trying to win now. 100% agree. You don't make a move like that if you're not trying to win now. But looking at this lineup, I mean, it's a good lineup. Don't get me wrong. We got Lindor, Conforto, Alonso, Dominic Smith, Nimmo, McNeil, Davis, and McCann. And that's a good lineup. That's a solid lineup.
That's one of the best lineups in baseball.
I don't know if I could say that. I really don't. I mean, you look at teams like, even like the Yankees. We have so much power in our lineup. I'm not seeing a ton of power here. You have Conforto.
Pete Alonso,
and what else do you really have?
I mean, Dom Smith, his power numbers did go up tremendously last year. I think he was he won an award last. I think it was like the Roberto Clemente Award, which has nothing to do with playing. It's more like citizenship and all that. But Dom Smith had an amazing year last year. His power numbers went up. His average numbers went up. Still do not see him as a left fielder. As you know, Dom Smith is a natural first baseman, right. But we have Pete Alonso at first base. That's something that is worrisome to me. But you need Dom Smith's bat in the lineup. And I just want to add this too. Another thing, I was nervous because I was like, that's a lot of pressure being put on Francisco Lindor. The Mets pulled this huge trade-off.
That's another thing.
There's a lot of pressure being put on him to perform. And if he doesn't perform, the trade is a bust. But I see him performing.
And not only that, I mean, you look at Lindor, he was in Cleveland. That's a small market team. Mm-hmm. He's coming from a small market. He's not going to have the press in his face like he's going to have in New York.
Yeah.
And then, I mean, you look at guys like Stanton on the Yankees. He came from Miami, a small market team, comes to the Yankees, and is he still good? Yeah, absolutely. Did he live up to what we thought he was going to live up to?
Not at first at all.
No. Yeah, I mean,
struck out like 5 times in a game. You remember that?
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Bad. Like, you don't know with a move like this when you know what you do know is Cleveland wasn't re-signing Lindor. Mm-hmm. They made that clear. They're not going to re-sign him. Do you think another team could have possibly made the same kind of move that the Mets made and taken him?
I do agree with you though, on that note that it's a risky deal because it's a 1 year contract.
Yeah, it's not like he's already signed to a 5-year deal, 6-year deal.
If he doesn't re-sign, you just gave away Jimenez and Rosario, which are both your shortstop, second baseman, infield guys. So if Lindor leaves after this year,
the Mets are screwed.
The Mets are screwed, but I don't see that happening. I see Lindor re-signing because a lot of people who come to the Mets know it's a great organization. You look at what Trevor Bauer said. Trevor Bauer has his own YouTube channel, and Trevor Bauer is saying the New York Mets are a great organization. They're well run. There's a lot of excitement in the city. There's a lot of buzz in the city, in Queens. I see him re-signing.
Absolutely. I mean, definitely. But also, I mean, at the same time, you have to take into account like what the whole Mets organization has gone through in the past year to 2 years. Yeah. With all the turnover and all the crazy things that have been happening, and who knows if he's going to want to be here.
There's a lot of pressure on this team. There's a lot of pressure on this team to perform and succeed, and if they don't, it's going to be bad.
Me personally, if I were the Mets, I wouldn't have made this deal. I understand where they're coming from. I get it. It's Lindor. Like, how do you pass up that opportunity? They gave up a lot for him, though, in Jimenez, and from what I was reading earlier, Josh Wolf is a good prospect at pitching. Yeah. And he's only 18 years old, I think.
Yeah, 18, 19.
And then Isaiah Green, he hasn't played any years.
He just got drafted.
Pros. Yeah, because of COVID, he didn't get to play any minor league games last year. So who really knows with him? But he was a high rated prospect too, coming out
of high school, right?
I think so. I didn't see that he was in any college.
I looked him up, and Isaiah Green is an outfielder, but he's not known for his bat. He's a speedster, so he ran a 6.4 40, 6.4 60 yard dash, and he's one of those outfielders who's going to make every play for you in the outfield. Very similar to actually Jimenez, a great fielder, and you got to develop his bat. So I like to trade because these prospects, you don't know how they're going to pan out. However, You look at the trade the Mets made a couple of years ago to get Robinson Cano and Edwin Diaz, where they gave up their entire farm system, and look at what Cano did. He's out on suspension for a year because of PED, second time using. Edwin Diaz has been the worst closer in baseball since he came to the Mets after being the best closer in baseball on the Mariners. So that deal went to complete garbage, and
Yeah. And I mean,
I hope that doesn't happen again.
On top of all this, too, you got the whole Cespedes drama.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, you have a guy in Cespedes who you brought to New York to kind of be what now you want Lindor to be. And
yes.
He was hurt most of the time.
He had one good year in 2015 when they made the World Series run.
Then he got hurt. He was hurt most of the time. He was coming into his final year of his contract in 2020 and opted out. And who knows why he opted out? Because, I mean, I read that he was seen in different places in public. So to me, it doesn't seem like he opted out for Corona.
I think Cespedes.
I think
he's trying to get a big paycheck.
Maybe I think he screwed himself personally.
I think he did too. But I, as a Mets fan, thank you, Cespedes, for your time. But it's time to move on. I think he's 36 years old now, 35, 36. He did what he had to do in New York, but it's time to move on. Who do we got now? We got Dom Smith, but great bat. You need him out there. Let's see. Nimmo, I've never been high on Nimmo. That's what I was going to say before. I wish the Mets traded Nimmo instead of Jimenez, but I'm sure they tried to do that. Maybe the Cleveland Indians didn't want to do that because they saw more upside in Jimenez, especially since he's 22 years old. But I wish that would have happened. And then the other outfielder is Conforto, and Conforto is your best outfielder.
Yeah, I mean, obviously.
But
I don't know. There's just a lot of
pitching rotation.
Yeah, I mean, your pitching rotation looks pretty good. Who knows what's going to happen with Syndergaard coming back or not, with the Tommy John and all that. You got DeGrom, you got Carrasco, you got Stroman, Matz, and Peterson. I mean, it's a good rotation.
It's just
the thing.
What do you think about Steven Matz? Do you think he's lived up to the hype from when he came up?
No, I don't.
I don't think so either.
He is he good? Yeah, he's a good 4 or 5 pitcher. Maybe not even good, maybe just decent. But either way, he's a decent 4 or 5 rotation pitcher. It didn't live up to the hype at all, in my opinion.
I don't think he did either.
It is what it is. But you got a good top 3. But looking at this and looking at your lineup, just looking at everything, I don't know if it's enough to go to the series this year.
I think it is enough to go to the World Series.
That's the issue that I'm having.
The Dodgers are always going to be up there. The Dodgers are coming off their World Series hype. Oh, I see Francisco Lindor being what Mookie Betts was to the Dodgers. Basically, you pick up. I think Mookie Betts is the second best outfielder behind Mike Trout. Mike Trout will always be number 1. He gets no credit because he plays for the Angels, who haven't been very good the past couple of years since they won the World Series about 14 or so years ago, 15 maybe. Anyways, it's just getting Lindor. It's not like in basketball if you got Kevin Durant and Kyrie Irving like the Nets did. Basketball players, they can impact the game just by them being on the court, that one person.
Yeah.
Baseball,
you need a team. Yeah, you can't do it by yourself. You can't do it by yourself. And you could have the best pitcher in the league and it's still not be good if you don't have a team around them. Yeah. That's what I'm saying. I see definitely a playoff team here. I just don't know if I see the World Series.
Well, do you see the Mets or the Yankees being better? You can't lie to yourself and say you see the Yankees.
Right now, I don't see the Yankees being better, but it's...
There we go.
We got to see what happens with LeMahieu if he decides to come back. We got to see what happens with
you guys need
pitching because we lost Tanaka. And, we didn't lose him yet. He's still a free agent. I guess we could resign him.
I think you're going to lose him.
I don't even want him back. He's way too inconsistent for me. He is a good pitcher when he's on, but that's the big thing. When he's on. He's not always on. Yeah. And then he pitches absolute garbage. So he's very high and low. So I don't want him back personally, but we need to fill a spot.
You need to get LeMahieu.
I agree. I want LeMahieu.
He was the best hitter in baseball last year.
LeMahieu's huge, and we need him. He really rounds off our lineup, which makes us a potential World Series team.
Just like LeMahieu puts protection around Stanton and Judge. What I mean by that is that you have to. you have to pitch to Stanton and Judge because you have LeMahieu in that lineup. You can't pitch around Stanton and Judge. And in the Mets lineup, you have protection around Lindor. You have protection around Alonso. You have Michael Conforto. You have Dom Smith. You need to pitch to both of them too. McNeil is one of the best hitters in baseball and one of the most underrated players. He can play third base, second base, left field, right field, and he hits for average. He gets on base all the time. And then you got James McCann, who was the second best catching free agent behind JT Realmuto. Anyways, I like the James McCann signing too. Like, listen,
I like that signing. I definitely do. He's a good player, and he's definitely going to help solidify your lineup. But when you're going up against teams like the Dodgers, it's going to be tough to make the series. It really is.
Yeah.
And that's to me is why I don't like the trade.
Mm-hmm.
And that's coming from someone outside the club. I get it. Now I'm sure you're thrilled because now you're going to see a winning team, which you haven't really seen
since 2015.
Right.
2016 they made the wild card. I went to that game. It was hype,
but yeah, you haven't really seen in very recent years. So I get you're happy, but like looking at it as
a whole.
Oh yeah, exactly. Like a whole picture. Where I'm looking at the future too, to me it doesn't make sense because the Lindor is not a guarantee.
I see what you're saying when you say you're looking at the future, because we just gave up 2 prospects and we gave up a 22-year-old player who did well in his rookie year
without even having a full season.
However, Lindor's not old. Lindor's 27 years old. He's got if he resigns. That's if he resigns.
Yeah, that's the big if. If he was already on a 4 or 5 year contract. The Mets made a good trade.
Yeah.
But he's not.
Because if Lindor, you take out Lindor, and the lineup just looks like an average lineup.
Exactly.
Besides, because Alonso didn't do that well. Like, he didn't do bad last year, but not nearly as well as he did in his rookie year. So, if you have the Alonso from last year, and you take out Lindor,
that lineup turns from
really freaking good to
average at best.
But as of this year, going into the season, for the first time, as a Mets fan, I am more confident in our hitting than our pitching. You have Jacob deGrom at the top. You know what he's going to do. He should have won the Cy Young, by the way. He should have been a 3-peat. Carlos Carrasco, listen, he's a great pitcher. I haven't seen him in a Mets uniform yet, so I'll let you know after spring training games. Marcus Stroman has been my favorite player since I've known what baseball is, by the way. I love Marcus Stroman, but listen, he sat out last year because of COVID. We don't know if he's going to be rusty. We don't know.
Who knows? That's another big thing too, actually, now that you mentioned that. Who knows how anybody's going to perform this year because
COVID.
Taking that off year, and granted they had a season-ish, a lot of these guys, but some of them sat out. Who knows how these players are really going to react? Who knows if during quarantine they were doing what they were supposed to do and staying in shape and doing all the right things? We don't know. I mean, we saw a lot of it with football where a lot of players weren't really in the shape they should have been.
Yeah.
And I account a lot of that to quarantine.
Baseball isn't really a conditioning sport unless you're a pitcher. If you're a pitcher, it is conditioning, but it's more arm conditioning. But the thing about baseball is repetition. You need to see reps. You need to see live pitching. If these hitters cannot see live pitching throughout the year, if they cannot play their spring training games and get the, I guess you call it practice that they need to get to be prepared for the season, this could be anybody's season. Look at what the Miami Marlins did last year. The Miami Marlins were predicted to be like the worst team in the NL East, the worst team in baseball. They ended up making the playoffs.
Exactly.
Derek Jeter as the CEO, people were like, he has no clue what he's doing. He got rid of everybody. He got rid of Stanton. He got rid of Ozuna. He got rid of Yelich. Stanton is an MVP caliber player. Yelich was an MVP. And Ozuna had a great year with the St. Louis Cardinals. But somehow they made the playoffs. But it's anybody's league. Baseball, it's anybody's league.
And you look at moves like that work out for teams. I almost think that the Mets maybe should have went down that path and taken a couple of years to just kind of rebuild at this point and just restart from the whole pre-Cohen era.
It's all gonna boil down to what players re-sign at the end of the year. Francisco Lindor, I don't know who's on a contract year besides that, but also they need to figure out what to do with Dom Smith. Dom Smith, once his contract is up, in my opinion, he's going to go elsewhere. Listen, he's a natural first baseman. He loves the Mets. He's voiced that he loves the Mets, but he is a top 10 first baseman in the major leagues, but he's playing left field because you have Pete Alonso. So Dom Smith is eventually going to leave, which is why they need to look for another outfielder too. That's another point I want to bring up.
Yeah, I mean, while this does look all good right now, there are a lot of questions for the future. Not even the far future, just next year.
Yeah.
Not 2022 season. There's a lot of question marks for that as of right now.
Ah, man, I miss going to Mets games. Going to Mets games is the best. I miss it so much. We need fans back in the stands. But shout out to Steve Cohen, everything he's done for this organization. He's taking him in the right direction. Us Mets fans, we are so excited. There's so much buzz in New York surrounding the Mets. The Mets are keeping up with the Yankees, believe it or not, somehow. I don't know how. I do know how, because Steve Cohen is spending money like
the Yankees.
Like Jeff Bezos of Amazon. My God. Like the Yankees.
The Mets are spending money like the Yankees right now, and that's how the Yankees have always been able to pull those big free agents. And we got to see what the Yankees can do this year, too. I mean, there's a lot of question marks for the Yankees with losing LeMahieu, losing Tanaka. Who was the other guy we were talking about? The other pitcher.
Oh, Paxton.
Yeah, Paxton. Losing him. I mean, a lot of question marks there. And we still have time to make something happen and fill those, in which the Yankees usually tend to do. They usually tend to make those last-minute things happen. So we'll see what happens with that. But, I mean, the Mets, we'll see how it turns out for them. I say, obviously, depending on how Lindor plays this year and depending on what happens, re-signing him or not is going to determine whether the Mets won or lost the trade. No matter how Lindor plays this year, if he does not re-sign, the Mets lost the trade, in my opinion.
What if they win the World Series this year?
Well, if they do, then...
And he doesn't re-sign.
All right, if they win, that's the only exception. If they win the World Series and he doesn't re-sign, then they won the trade. But if they don't, which...
It's just a damn shame that all these teams, the Dodgers won their first World Series since, I think, 1985, if I'm correct. It's just a shame that the fans weren't there to see it happen, I want the Mets to win the World Series, trust me, but I would be upset if their only World Series title was a World Series where no fans could be in attendance. Well, do you know what I mean by that?
Yeah, absolutely, and I agree with you, but, hopefully by then, they will be back to normal. They're saying, from what I'm hearing... And who knows at this point, because they've said so many different things. But from what I'm hearing, life should be back to normal by the fall. Nobody knows. No one knows. No one knows. We can't make any predictions really, because this whole thing is crazy and nobody can really predict it. Nobody really knows. So and we again, that's another thing too that I just thought of. Who knows how COVID is going to affect these players, as far as quarantining and stuff with the season, in the NFL.
Yeah. Because there's no bubble.
No, the way I take it is it's going to be like the NFL, where if a player comes in contact, they quarantine.
That's what I'm saying. It's anybody's season.
This season is going to be an interesting one, to say the least.
Yeah. But you want to do final thoughts? Or do you want to talk about anything else?
We'll just do our final thoughts on this real quick, and then we could talk about something else. Like I just said, if Lindor leaves, Mets lost, unless they manage to win the World Series this year. But we'll see what happens. That's the biggest issue for me, is that he's only here for a year as of right now. We'll see if they manage to sign him to an extension. Only time will tell for that. What do you think?
My final thoughts, I think the Mets won this trade. I think it's a great trade. They didn't give up too much. They gave up Rosario. Like I said, Rosario did not pan out. He wasn't what we thought he was going to be. He had a great year, or not great, but good year last year, and that made his trade value skyrocket, which is what this made this trade go through. Jimenez, I'm sad to see go. I thought he was going to be an all-star in the future, and he probably will be an all-star in the future. The two prospects, the pitching prospect we gave up has potential, but there are so many good pitchers out there in the Mets system that this one pitcher won't make it break it. And the outfield prospect, nobody knows about really. He's a speedster. He has good range in the outfield, but you can't pass up on Francisco Lindor, and Carlos Carrasco is no scrub. Carlos Carrasco is going to be a solid number 2, number 3 for the Mets.
I mean, absolutely, I agree. But I mean, only time will tell because who knows how the big city's going to affect them too, like we said earlier.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of questions in this trade that need to be answered and
Mets have
can't be answered right now.
Series. All right.
But
do you want to talk about anything else? Or
yeah. So
yeah.
Obviously, this video came out a lot sooner than we thought it was going to. We saw this trade happen today, and we felt we needed to talk about it. So moving forward, again, we're going to continue to at least get weekly videos out. But if something crazy happens like this that we want to talk about and we want to get it out as soon as possible, we'll post some more videos in the same week. I mean, who knows?
Whatever we feel like doing, you know what I mean? Yeah.
But one thing that me and Dan were discussing was kind of doing something fun, get you guys involved a little bit. And what we're considering doing is almost like a sports challenge. All right. So what we're going to do is if and when we get to 100 subscribers, me and Dan are going to compete in a little sports challenge. We're going to do multi-sport challenges. For example, we're going to do potentially, and we're going to have you guys have input on this on our Instagram. We'll put up some polls or something later on as we get closer to this. But for example, potentially in football, we'll do furthest throw, right? For baseball,
batting
cages, something like that. I mean, maybe we could do putting for golf, even just whatever. We'll figure that out. But I think it would be a fun way to kick off the channel when we get to 100 subscribers. So if you guys are interested in that, let us know. Leave it in the comments. DM us on Instagram at Babbling Bros Sports. Give us a follow on Instagram. Subscribe on here if you want to see this happen. Let your friends know. So far, we're having a great time doing this, and we want to continue to do it. So,
yeah, let's just get this as big as possible. You know, we're just doing this for fun, and hopefully this takes off. I see we're already at 15 subscribers, which is more than I thought we were going to get, honestly. Yeah, I know it's not much, but it's pretty cool.
It's only been 2 days since we posted our first video. So, I mean, yeah, we're doing pretty good.
Let's get to 100, you know?
We're at like 80-something views. I think we were between 10 and 15 subscribers, something like that when we looked before we made this video. Mm-hmm. So, I mean, so far, so good. We love the support that we've gotten so far. We didn't think it was going to be this good, this quick. So, I mean, not that it's crazy numbers or anything, but we appreciate it. It means
something to us.
It really does. I really didn't think that we were going to have more than 5 subscribers in 2 days, but we have over 10. Like, that's pretty crazy to me. Who knew that many people would want to listen to us that quick?
Anyways, it's been an absolute pleasure.
Yeah. We enjoy doing this. We're going to continue to do this at least once a week, like we said. We appreciate the support. Like, comment, subscribe, whatever. Let your friends know, and we'll catch y'all later.